Welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we speak to local entrepreneurs and learn about their journey. All right, welcome to B2B with Randy and Craig, where we discuss the rise, the falls,
and the kick in
No.
One of these weeks.
Anyway, my name is Randy.
I'm Craig from That's a Wrap Productions.
And today we have a special guest, Jason Hardy from Skydive Chesapeake. First thing we got to ask you, why skydiving?
Oh, man, why not? It's fun. It's extreme.
Because it's scary as hell?
Some people get scared by it, but I'm not. I think it was, it's one of those things. Like, it's fun. It's been on my bucket list to actually get my skydiving license, so why not just buy the company?
And it's probably scary until you do it.
Yeah, there's more fear just leading up to it. Once you're up there in the plane, you just jump.
Well, let's go back to just buying the company. That's what we're really here to talk about.
What were you doing prior to jumping out of airplanes or getting a license for people who jump out of airplanes?
I've been a contractor for the last 20 years. So I started out at 17 years old in construction, sweeping floors for my father, and been in construction ever since. I now own a construction company as well.
So this is going to be a fun one, I can tell. Yeah. All right. So you're working with your father.
Yep.
In contracting.
Yep.
Literally started sweeping floors.
Yep.
Now you're the CEO of the company. Same company?
Nope, different company. 10 years into working for my father, I broke off and did my own thing.
So you're an entrepreneur. Urges are pulling at you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you got this company humming, I'm guessing, and then you started getting distracted. Shiny things.
There's a lot of shiny things out there. Yes, 10 years into working for my father, I said, you know what? We had a little falling out at the time. Mm-hmm. Now our relationship's wonderful. I love my dad now.
Good.
We go golfing on Sundays. It's a great time. But
who wins?
I let him win.
All right.
If
he's listening,
I'm telling myself that.
It'll be the first time anybody's ever called in. He's a liar.
I'm telling myself that.
I hear you. So anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So yeah, started off working for my dad. Said, you know what, we have to falling out. I'm going to start my own thing. I have a beautiful wife. She supported me through opening up my own construction company.
Over there. She heard
over
you.
there. Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
No, he said she is beautiful and she is your wife. So
yeah, it works. Opened my own construction company. She supported me the whole way. And after about 5 or 6 years, I started realizing that entrepreneurial pull that you're talking about, that really started grabbing at me because it was just me doing everything. And 5, 6 years into it, I started hiring people, and I'm like, wow, this is different. This is business. This isn't just being a carpenter anymore. And I started wanting to learn the art of business.
So, it's interesting. We just had this conversation with a guest last week, and we were talking about, and his field was different. Just because you're a great salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a great business owner. And some people think I can sell anything, so I can run a business.
Exactly.
So here you are saying, hey, you built a great company, is what you're saying. You wanted to get out and do other things. So you put the right people in place, is what you're saying, so you could go out and pursue other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as I started to evolve the construction company, I started bringing people on to help me run it. My wife being one of them. I have a project manager, and the projects, honestly, just those two people alone, things move.
That's terrific.
It happens.
That's terrific. Let's talk about you.
Sure.
I want to go back to that. Let's talk about you. So the first business you bought outside contracting was, I'm asking, I don't know,
skydiving. Yeah.
That's
skydiving.
a hell of a jump. Come on, give me that. That's like a dad joke.
That is very bad.
So how does that happen?
I had a dream as a kid that I wanted to be a Blue Angel. Right? Growing up, I wanted to be a Navy pilot.
Nice.
So I'm 37 years old. I'm a little overweight. I am not joining the Navy at this point in my life. There's no way I'm becoming a Blue Angel.
Right.
So I started looking into aviation companies. So I said, if I'm not going to become a Blue Angel, I'm just going to go buy an F-18.
So here's a guy, entrepreneur, if you're listening, who didn't just think of things and let it go, that'll never happen to me. How do I make this happen?
You materialized.
Yeah.
You brought what you saw to fruition.
Yeah.
So when you think back as a kid, were you always thinking about, like, you said if you wanted to be you wanted to fly, you wanted to be a Blue Angel. Have you done any collaborations with any other, pilotry people and whatnot?
Is pilotry a word?
I think so.
I would think it's called piloting, maybe.
Maybe. Hey, look, I can do what I want.
Honestly, so this business is really fresh to me. We only bought it in October.
Got it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so this is going to be our first launch.
This is we're coming into the first season.
First full season.
Where
for
is
us.
it? Where is the company located?
We're in Ridgely, Maryland.
So here's a couple of good things that we've learning so far. All right, we're just a few minutes into this. diversification of the portfolio, not being afraid to have the business in your own backyard, and letting loose and handing the reins to people to run it. Because it sounds to me in both of these businesses right now, you're not full time on that. You have your sphere of influence coming in, but your teams are running it.
Absolutely, yeah. And especially the skydiving company, you think about it, right? It's a few states away. I got the right people in the right seats. I took on a business partner that was willing to sell her home here on Long Island and actually move down to Maryland to be the operating partner.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
And when I tell you, she's fabulous. She's fabulous.
So would you say your job is really delegating?
I would say that is a huge part of my job.
Yeah.
I love building relationships.
Hey.
And I met this woman in January last year, and in October we bought a business together.
Unbelievable.
So he builds a rapport, but he does it without rapport somehow.
This is the second time this is coming up. I gotta tell you, we're becoming like a bad dad joke company. So in our portfolio, we have a contracting company.
Yeah.
We have an adventure company, I'm going to call it,
Sure.
because knowing you and since I've known you, I have a feeling that skydiving company is going to start branching out into other adventures. That's just in my head.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to say right now, skydiving. What else do we have our hands in?
My wife and I currently invest in real estate. I run a mentorship program for young men and women. And my gosh, we do a lot of things. I have a podcast of my own, actually.
There you go. Well, hopefully you'll have us on. Maybe after these
100%.
bad jokes that we're saying, you're going to write us off. So let's talk about each one of those.
Sure.
So in real estate, are you an investor? Are you a broker? Are you a flipper?
The property my wife and I own is an Airbnb property. It's down in North Carolina on Lake Norman, and she runs it. We have a business partner, and it goes pretty well.
Love it. So that's hot. Airbnbs are a great business, is what I hear, if they're run properly.
Correct.
Got to be run. It's not something like you just buy it, give someone the key, and that's the end of it.
Right. And that was part of bringing on our business partner. Is he's extremely well versed in real estate investing, and he's extremely well versed in operations and procedures. So having, again, that right person in the right seat, the right partner makes it possible.
See this book I have up here?
Traction. Yeah.
Right person in the right seat.
That's
so
so true.
important. And this is such a great operating system. And it sounds like you've adopted naturally some of the traction. I know some of it fits some businesses, not all businesses.
Absolutely.
But you got to do what makes you feel comfortable.
Yep.
Are you right now? Are you looking to continue to diversify your portfolio? Is there anything that you're focused on? You don't have to give us name of companies. I'm just
Of course. Yeah, and I'm actually in contract to purchase another company right now in Virginia.
Awesome.
And it's in the real estate industry. It's actually a home staging company. It's about an hour and a half away from the skydiving place. So, hey,
there you go.
Not too bad. Same
not
region.
by plane. I'm sure it's quicker. No,
Yeah,
but
20 minutes by plane.
So you have so that's interesting. A staging company.
Yep.
Do you have goals to expand that, bring it to New York, bring a tri-state area?
Absolutely, yeah. That I'm looking at a much bigger vision. That one I'm really looking to actually become like a franchisor on. I want to open multiple locations and then turn it into a complete franchise model. I think it's set up to do that.
So, it's interesting, as diversified as you are, because Craig and I were talking to someone earlier who is in franchising, and he's the franchisee. He's an entrepreneur on the franchisee side, and we were talking about many entrepreneurs have a great vision to start. I use this as an example, an ice cream company. I was just making something up.
Right.
And you become a franchisor, and you get momentum. And now you're at, let's call it 15, 20 locations. What I have found from many entrepreneurs, they say, now I'm no longer an ice cream company. Now I'm a paper pusher, and my passion. Do you see that? Or I'm going to guess a guy like you're going to put the right people in the right seats so you can continue to be passionate about what you like and let them deal with the franchising.
Exactly. What attracts me to it is the business itself. It's the business itself in the condition that it's in, and the reason why we're buying it is just so set up to expand. Right? It's already got the right people in the right seats. So as the owner steps out, one of those people in the company can step up into that owner seat as far as like operations. So that run that day-to-day operation. And then we can focus on actually growing that into being a monster.
That's fantastic.
So Randy loves to say that, judge me not by my mistakes, but how I fix that.
I say that to my wife mostly.
Yeah, she doesn't like it.
I'm just saying it all. We're sitting there.
So as a serial entrepreneur, what's one mistake that had to happen for you to make it to where you are right now?
I had to work for myself and figure it out alone.
Okay.
You know,
Which
and
could make a lot of mistakes every day.
every day, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking in construction industry. I learned every mistake in the construction industry by doing the work myself, and it gave me the ability to critically think, right? Like every mistake that I made, I had to figure out a way to fix it because there was only me.
Right.
So I would say, I wouldn't even consider them a mistake. It's an opportunity, man. I learned so
Well, it's a
much
learning
from it.
opportunity,
Well, I'm
right? If
assuming-
you're learning from your mistakes, it's a learning
Well,
opportunity. If you're not.
I'm assuming certain mistakes can't happen. I mean, like, I'm assuming, you know, you learn to put the parachute in and jump out.
I haven't even learned that yet. I rely on other people for that still.
Thank God, that's not his responsibility. No, but you're talking about a business transactional mistake. Maybe you put the wrong person in the wrong seat.
Right.
Maybe you made a decision to get behind inventory that you shouldn't have, which choked your cash hold.
Right.
These are the decisions that you need to make on a daily basis. That's really what you're referring to.
So I would say something like that would be, man, we put ourselves in a lot of debt with the construction company, like too much where we became really, really hard to pull ourselves out of. And we're still working our way out of that, truthfully. So,
Got it.
you know, but right, we learned from like, hey, how did we get here? To now, okay, let's never do that again, or understand how to properly leverage, right? I was improperly leveraging, and that
We
doesn't
had a
work.
guest on the show, and you'll appreciate this, and they were telling us when they were starting their company, they bootstrapped it. I'm going back a few years, many years ago. At the time, what they did, they were cash poor, but they had this opportunity. They went out, they applied for 10 credit cards. At the time, it was quick. You could do it. He would cash them out right away, and all of a sudden they have $150,000 in working capital.
Yeah.
He says, I would not recommend that.
No.
But that's what they did.
Yep.
So everybody picks their journey. So,
That
you know.
was similar to mine.
Exactly.
Similar to mine. I
get
leveraged
it.
way too much credit.
I get it. You know, you're trying to build a business, and cash gets tight sometimes, and you don't want to give up equity.
Of course.
It's hard.
And if you're just tuning in to WBAB 102.3,
He loves this.
Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, we are sitting with the serial entrepreneur, Jason Hardy of Skydive Chesapeake and many other things. We're not
Every
gonna-
time he does this, I feel like he's saying, this is Casey Kasem. And tune in next week for our top 10. I'm just waiting for that to happen. But that's great.
So yeah, go for it.
Oh, no. So my question is, in skydiving, so here we are. I'm just picking that because that's the field you're in. That's more than a shiny thing because you have to do so much diligence into insurance, into like Craig said, the parachute better open. The plane. I mean, I can only imagine and coming from a totally different field.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? You're learning the FAA regulations, right? You're flying a plane that you take the seats out of, but you still have to have seatbelts. Figure that one out. And then you open the door at 10,500 feet, and then you kick a bunch of people out.
Right.
So there's a lot of regulations that go into that, and you know, you talk about liability. When people walk in our door, they have to sign 2 waivers. One if they trip and fall on our property, and the other one if they get hurt or possibly died skydiving.
Right.
So it does waive a lot of liability on our end. Are they 100% ironclad? We like to think so.
You hope so, but
You know,
you
we
hope
like to
that
think
no
so.
one ever has to execute.
Right.
That's not the point.
Correct.
But the point
Yeah.
is that it takes a certain thick skin to be able to sleep at night.
Having
right?
these,
Yeah.
Right. And we were talking. It's just as scary. We were talking to people who are entrepreneurs can appreciate this. On Wednesday, you start thinking about payroll. Can I make payroll? Where the employee's thinking on Wednesday, I can't wait to get paid Friday.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
You know, that's just as scary as the insurance that you're talking about.
Yep.
So entrepreneurs are very special. Is what I say.
Yeah.
Very special craziness in your head.
Absolutely. It takes a lot to really process a lot of this stuff.
Do you sleep at night?
Oh yeah, I sleep very soundly.
Good.
Yeah,
You
I
look
love
it. You look it.
So as one of my favorite questions to ask is, you mentioned you're married. She's over there.
Yep.
And you're a business owner, multiple business owner, right? So how do you juggle being a family guy, building a life, and owning all these businesses?
And you talk about putting the right people in the right seats, and it's just that. Like, I made it so that my gym, my office, and my home are all in the same place.
Okay.
Right? Like, I don't have to leave my house to go to the gym. I go upstairs. I don't have to leave my house to go to the office. I go upstairs. Right? I put all those things so that I'm actually physically present in the home, which allows me to be more present in my marriage too. Right? Because I can step away from the computer or the gym for a few minutes and be physically and fully mentally present with my wife.
And what's nice is you're not. When you say present, you have the opportunity not to be on your phone, not to be like, you can be present because you can walk out of your office, walk downstairs, have a conversation, whatever, go to dinner, and then go back in and get back in the zone.
Oh, she'll tell you I'm on my phone plenty.
Yeah, but that's why we're not going to ask her. This is your time. This is your time.
She's smiling, nodding off to the side.
You can do whatever you want. So, it's funny you mentioned working from home. Like, I'm very bad at working from home. And I'm a hard worker, but I get distracted very easily at my house. It's not necessarily my wife who's distracting me or the kids. I can get distracted by the house. How do you get over that hump? How do you get in the zone? Because I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say, I can't work at home. I don't have that same intensity.
Gosh, I love working at home. I time block. I set sections in the calendar to work on certain things, right? Like this morning was my partner's call for my skydiving company, right? Like that happens every Friday morning. That's the only time that happens. I don't do that randomly on a Tuesday. That happens on Friday mornings. That's it.
Right.
So I set the time aside for each thing that I'm working on, and I just leverage that time.
That's fantastic. That's smart. And you mentioned earlier, and I don't want to pass it up, you said you're involved in a men's group, I think, when you were talking about the different, a mentorship, I think you call it.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because it's wonderful. You give back.
Yes, absolutely. I started working with a few young men. Actually, the first two I started working with were working for me, sweeping floors in my construction company. And I started giving them guidance, just advice on the things that I've learned in the seminars that I've gone to, the people I've learned from. And I started realizing, man, I love it. I love passing along this information, even if I've paid for it, just to give it to somebody for free, right? So I started working with them, and now it's grown into, I hold a monthly coaching call, you could call it, and it's...
Is it a Zoom? Is it in person? Is it across the country?
Just on Zoom. Anybody is welcome to join. It's really geared towards the
How
youth.
does somebody find that? Can you give us
It's called the Growth Collective. I would just say email me at this point, because we're still literally just setting up our systems now. We just launched it in last month.
So we're not ready to make a full announcement on it.
It's okay. Yeah.
When you're ready,
Absolutely.
we'll make an announcement. Let me ask you, on your business, I'm going to say first, the construction business is local to New York?
Yes.
How does somebody get a hold of you to look at what your work has done and so forth? How do consumers find you?
Look me up on Google. It's Dency Construction, DENCY Construction.
Got it. And tell us on the skydiving, if I'm on my way to Virginia or want to...
Maryland?
It's
Maryland.
It's Virginia's our neighbor, so
Yeah, right there.
Skydivechesapeake.com.
Got it. And is there phone numbers anybody could reach you, or?
You know what? I haven't
It's
even
not
memorized the
important.
phone number yet.
Everybody's
I
going
haven't even
online
memorized
anyway.
it yet.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So we had last week in the owner of Vodka Rocka, the vodka that rocks.
Yeah, Rocka Vodka.
What is your favorite song with the word fall in it?
With the word fall?
Fall.
Oh my gosh.
Free falling.
Yeah, free fall. That makes sense.
I was going to say Velvet Revolver's Fall to Pieces.
This is why we don't let. We're very careful with the questions we let him. We got to be very.
I had to submit them ahead of time.
For that specific of a song request.
But I got to, knowing you, so and who you are. I'm going to tell real quick. I'm going to make this very short. I was at a speaking event. I didn't know Jason. Had no idea who he was. He was the second speaker at this event. Came on stage. He's talking about the things that I'm sure you're talking about as a mentor. Great stuff. And I'm writing it down. I wrote down his name, and I said, I got to look this guy up online when I get home. I got to follow this guy because I love that, feeding my head. My new thing is when I go to the gym, I only listen to self-help, help my head, help my whatever. Anyway, I'm at the event. An hour and a half goes by. Craig sends me a text from your people saying this guy would like to be a guest on your show. And I'm like, this guy's speaking right in front of me. And then I grabbed you out in the hall. That's the universe working in
a very mysterious way.
In crazy ways.
Yes.
So it's really, so in addition, you're a motivational inspiration. You speak at events.
Yeah, I'm working on building that platform for myself. I really want to, like I was saying, that Growth Collective call, I want to do that, but I want to do that in schools. Like, I want to get out there and speak to the youth. My whole mission behind that Growth Collective call is to be the man that I wish that I had when I was their age.
Man, I got to tell you, I want to work with you on that.
Sure.
I would love to get involved in that. I think that's a wonderful thing. And we talk about that all the time. I have 3 daughters. And
He's a girl dad.
I'm a girl dad. And I was speaking to a CEO recently of a company, and she's powerful. I mean, she all the right things. And we were talking about how a girl is not told it's okay to go into construction. It's okay to be a plumber. You don't have to be
right.
Right. So, I get very involved in that. And same thing with young men.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're not going to go to college, that doesn't make you a failure.
Not at all.
There's so many opportunities out there, and they need to hear it sometimes.
Yeah, a guy can be a cheerleader too, you
Absolutely.
know? Like,
I mean, not for nothing, one of my business owners started out sweeping, one of my business partners, I'm sorry, started out sweeping floors for me, and now he's 21 and owns part of a skydiving company with me.
Bro,
and that's one of the young men I mentor.
That's awesome.
So-
and we had on here Ted from College Hunks.
correct.
And you know College Hunks.
Absolutely,
Moving Junk. And I don't remember the names of everybody, but they're number 3, who's really their number 1 because there's the 2 partners.
Sure.
And then this guy, he's the COO. He started out as a driver.
Yeah.
He's accomplished things in his life that he never thought he could accomplish. And they say, that's him. He's self-grown, and they took him under the wing, and you're doing the same thing, giving people who didn't think they had this opportunity to really grow. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Chance.
What a sense of accomplishment that is.
I love it, man. It's very, very fulfilling. That's like, right, growth is a huge part of my need structure, but so is contribution, right? Like, I need to grow. I need to continue to learn, but I also need to give back.
But if you're not giving back, gets you to grow. It's all
Absolutely.
it all comes back in the
It's
same
reciprocal.
thing.
Absolutely.
It really
Yeah,
is. And I got to tell you, anybody who's listening, look up your speaking events. I saw online Jason Hardy. Look it up. He has some great messages. You'll pull out tidbits that definitely make an impact on your life. There's no question. And that says a lot about you. Appreciate that.
No, thank
Appreciate
you.
that. So, you know, we're going to get to the end of the show. I got to ask, as a serial entrepreneur, as you said, somebody who's not afraid to try different things, you're a young guy, I'm an old guy, people that are listening, give us a word of advice that you give someone who is in a job, they're not happy, or they're afraid to go out and take the chance, they're afraid to fail. Tell us.
You know, this is something that I spoke about when you saw me speaking. A huge shift for me was when I changed I have to I get to.
Remember I said that?
You did.
I used that.
Oh, you did?
I
You're
used
good.
that.
I'm
I-
glad.
stole
That's
that
amazing.
No,
from
I didn't
you.
steal it.
No,
No,
hey,
there's
listen,
no
I got it
stealing.
from somebody else.
There's no stealing.
So you borrowed. You
Seriously, that's what it is. When you're speaking to somebody who gives you a message that sinks, you're not stealing it.
No.
You're borrowing it and giving it to somebody else.
Passing it along.
Say that again, because I love that.
Change your I have to I get to, right? Like, oh, I have to go into work. I have to do this presentation. I have to help this angry client. How about I get to help this client meet their needs? How about I get to do this
love that.
presentation? It's a
Different mindset.
completely new experience, and that'll open up opportunities, right? We talked about opportunities like squirrel with the shiny objects, right? Every single thing is an opportunity if you frame it properly.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. We're going to wrap up. I could talk to you for 3
days.
shows.
Yeah.
I love it. And we will continue
Sure.
talking offline. But I'm happy that we get to sit in a room with you.
Likewise.
Awesome, man. You bring a lot of positive energy, a lot of great messaging. Tell us again how our listeners can find you.
Just look me up on Instagram, Jason P. Hardy.
Jason P. Hardy. Well, Jason P. Hardy. From B2B with Randy and Craig, that's a wrap.
Bingo.
Love it.
Thank you for tuning in to B2B with Randy and Craig. Looking forward to hanging with you next week.